All right. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to today's session of Basic Hebrew for the Bible Study Hickory on this 20th day of November 2022. When we met last week, we were taking a look at construct nouns in construct absolute chains. So remember that when we are dealing with a construct noun is going to be a noun that is being modified by another noun. And just like as we were seeing last week in this particular construction here, where we have kol ish. So here I have two different words, kol and ish. This first word here, kol, is in the construct because of the fact that it is being modified by ish. So it's in the construct form because it is being modified by ish. So ish tells the to whom the kol, the voice, is related. So kol then is in the construct, ish is in the absolute, and ish is then telling whose voice we're dealing with. And so thus kol, we would translate it as voice of, and then ish, we would say man. Now, remember that construct nouns, they never take the article. And so what that means is, in order to determine if a construct noun is definite or indefinite, we would have to look to the absolute. So if the absolute noun is definite, then that means that the construct noun is definite. If the absolute noun is not definite, then the construct also is not definite. And an absolute noun may be definite in one of three ways. It may either have the article, he with a pathak followed by a dagesh forte. It may be a proper name, or it may be a pronoun. Now, in this particular instance, ish does not have the article, it's not a proper name, and it's not a pronoun. So therefore, it is indefinite, which means that kol as well is indefinite. This is why I have translated this as a voice of a man. But if we come on down to this next example, kol ha'ish. Well, here again, kol is going to be my construct noun. It is still being modified by ish, but the difference in this particular instance is that ish has the article on the front of it. He with a pathak followed by a dagesh forte. But that dagesh forte would have gone inside of the following letter, which is a guttural. Remember those four gutturals. Aleph, he, cheth, ayin. So in this case, the aleph, it's a guttural. Gutturals cannot take the dagesh forte. And so as a result, it rejects the dagesh forte and the preceding vowel lengthens. That's why we have the ha there on this particular word. So ha'ish. So thus, we know then that ish is definite because it has the article, which in turn makes kol definite as well. Thus, I would translate this as the voice of the man in this particular instance. So that is what we're dealing with here. Then we also saw as well that if we have an absolute noun that is a proper name, it too would be definite, making the construct noun definite. So look at this particular example here, where we have Avi, Avraham. So Avi is going to be a noun. It is masculine singular construct. This is the form that the word of, being father, takes when it goes into the construct. You can see the reduced vowel here, and then the E ending is just something that this particular word takes when it goes to the construct. So we have Avi, Avraham. Well, Abraham, this is definitely a noun, masculine, singular, absolute. It is the proper name, Abraham. And so, because of the fact that it is a proper name, it is definite, which in turn makes the construct noun also definite. And thus, we would translate this as Avi would be the father of, and then Abraham, Abraham. So, the father of Abraham. But then I'm also going to come on down here to this example. Sefer Avihu. So this is going to be an interesting one because we've actually got three particular words here. So we have Sefer, which is going to be a noun. It is masculine, singular. It is being modified by the following noun, so it is construct. And then we have Avihu, where here we have the who here, and then we also have the word of. So of, in this particular instance, it is a noun, masculine, singular, and it as well is in the construct, but then I have this who part here. And this is actually going to be what we call a pronominal suffix, which brings me to what it is that we are going to be talking about today. So, pronominal suffixes. The word pronominal just comes from the word pronoun. So, notice here. So, pronominal. Nominal is just another way of saying noun. And then you have pronoun. So basically, pronominal is just another, it's an adjective form of saying pronoun. So in other words, when we talk about a pronominal suffix, we are talking about suffixes that are pronouns. So pronouns, words that stand in the place of a noun, he, she, it, they, so forth. So those are going to be pronouns, and then they serve as suffixes. That is, these are pronouns that are going to attach to the end of a noun. And so these particular pronouns, they will serve as the absolute to the construct noun to which they are attached. So in other words, this particular pronominal suffix here, this is actually going to serve as the absolute to our construct noun here. So you actually have two parts of speech. One is the noun that is in construct form. The other one is the pronoun, which is serving as the absolute to that particular construct noun. Now, let me show you the forms of these particular pronominal suffixes that we're dealing with. So I'm going to take us to another one of the X charts. Remember what it is that we're seeing as we're dealing with here. These particular X's, they stand for the three consonants of a Hebrew root. Most Hebrew words are built off of three letters, three consonants. And so that's what those X's stand for. And then at the end here in red, you can see the forms that the pronominal suffixes, the pronouns that are serving as suffixes, take. So first of all here, we have the forms that these suffixes are going to take on singular nouns. And notice that these pronouns, because of the fact that they take the place of nouns, they are going to have gender, they're going to have number, but they are also going to have person as well. First person, second person, third person. So first person, this would be I. Second person, you. Third person, he, she, or it. So first common singular here. So that means first person, I, common gender, singular and number. And the form of this particular pronominal suffix is going to be E here. So we have E in this respect. And you can see the translation of it because of the fact that these are objective. So these are pronouns that serve as objects. They're going to be the object forms of the pronouns. So thus I would translate E as me. Then second masculine singular. Again, we have the three X's there, and then we have a ka. So that would be you. Second feminine singular, ache, you. Third masculine singular, o, him. Third feminine singular, ah. And notice that we have in the middle of the hey here, we have a dot. This particular dot is what we call a, okay, let's try this. Mapik. So a mapik, and what this means is, or mapik. So a mapik is going to be where you pronounce the sound of a hey with just a little bit of extra force. So instead of saying ah, I would say ah. So there's a little bit of breathiness to the sound of the hey there. So we have ah, her. Then we have first common plural, anu, us. Second masculine plural, akem, you. Second feminine plural, aken, you. Third masculine plural, ahem, or you will also very often see this shortened to as well, where instead of having the hey there, you would just have a kamates underneath the last letter followed by the mem. And so that would be or ahem, them. And then third feminine plural, ahen, or in some instances as well, on them. So those are going to be the forms of the pronominal suffixes on singular nouns. So again, we have e, ika, ake, o, ah, anu, akem, aken, ahem, ahen, or on, depending. Now, let me just show you what these are going to look like on actual words here. So thus, we come on over to this. So notice here, you can see that we have the samek, shurik, samek here. So the word sus, which is going to be the word horse. So this is going to be the word horse, sus, and then you can also see the pronominal suffix on the side there, e. So notice again what we have in this particular instance. So you have sus here, which is going to be the noun. It is masculine singular. Because of the fact that it has a suffix attached to it, I know that it is being modified by another noun. And so thus, I know that it is going to be in the construct form. That is why over here you can see I have it translated as horse of, which is the normal way of translating a construct noun. And then here, notice the e. This e is going to be the first person common singular pronominal suffix. And it serves as the absolute to the word sus. And so thus I have it as me. So here we have then me serving as the absolute to horse of. And then remember what we said about the fact that an absolute noun can be definite if it has the article, if it is a proper name, or if it is a pronoun. And construct nouns are made definite or indefinite by their absolute. So the absolute in this instance is a pronoun, which means it is definite, which means then that this would be the horse of me. So it is definite by virtue of the fact that its absolute is a pronoun. So you have Susi, the horse of me. Then, as we come on down to the next one, you can see we have Susika. So Susika here. Again, you can see the word sus, horse, but it has a pronominal suffix attached to the end of it. Therefore, it is in the construct form. And the pronominal suffix, that is the pronoun that is attached to the end, is serving as the absolute to this noun. And this here, ka, this would be the second masculine singular pronominal suffix. So we would say you. So again, I've got my construct noun, sus, horse of. It is being modified by the absolute, which in this case is the pronominal suffix ka. And because of the fact that the absolute is a pronoun, it is therefore definite, which again makes the construct noun definite. So that would be then the horse of you. Coming on down a little bit further so we can see Susi, the horse of me. Susika, the horse of you. Next we have Susake. Again, you can see the word sus here, and it has the pronominal suffix attached to it. So this particular word, because it has the pronominal suffix attached to it, is going to be in the construct form. The pronominal suffix is thus the absolute to sus. And this here, ake, is the second feminine singular. So we would say horse of you, but because of the fact that the pronominal suffix is a pronoun and is therefore definite, that in turn makes sus also definite. So this would be the horse of you. So we have Susi, the horse of me, Susika, the horse of you, Susake, the horse of you, feminine singular. And then we have Suso. Again, you can see we have sus in the construct with the pronominal suffix for the third masculine singular attached to the end, where the third masculine singular serves as the absolute to sus, and because it is a pronoun, it is definite, which in turn makes the construct noun sus also definite. So this would be the horse of him. So again, Susi, the horse of me, Susika, the horse of you, Susake, the horse of you, feminine singular, Suso, the horse of him, and then we have Susa. So again, notice the word sus in construct with the third feminine singular pronominal suffix attached to it. It has that mapik in it to distinguish it from the a ending, which would indicate feminine singular absolute. So this with that mapik tells me, oh no, this is not a noun ending, this is the pronominal suffix. And because it is a pronominal suffix, it in turn makes its construct definite. So thus, the horse of her. So Susi, the horse of me, Susika, the horse of you, Susake, the horse of you, Suso, the horse of him, Susa, the horse of her, and then we come on down here to Susenu. So here we have again sus, the word horse, in construct with the anu first common plural pronominal suffix. So horse of us, and because of the fact that the pronominal suffix is the absolute, it is a pronoun, it is therefore definite, which means that sus is also definite, the horse of us. Then we come on down here to susikem, and again, you can see that we have sus in the construct, and we have the akem, second masculine plural pronominal suffix, you plural. And again, because of the fact that this is a pronoun, it in turn makes sus definite as well. Then we have susiken. Again, notice we have the word sus in construct with a pronominal suffix on it. And so thus as well, we know that the pronominal suffix will serve as the absolute. It's a pronoun, so it's definite, which makes the absolute noun also definite. And so this would be the horse of you. Then remember how I was talking about the alternate forms of the third masculine plural and the third feminine plural, where you could have either a hem or or a hen and on. Well, notice here we've got these alternative forms here. So here again we have sus And then we have the third masculine plural pronominal suffix, which is going to make its construct noun definite. So susam would be the horse of them. And then we have susan, which again is going to be the word sus with the on pronominal suffix. The pronominal suffix, being a pronoun, makes its construct noun definite, and so thus the horse of them, feminine plural. So these then are those pronominal suffixes. We have e, ika, ake, o, a, enu, ikem, iken, on. So those are the forms that we're looking at here. Now let's come back to the example that we had over here. So here you can see that we have Sefer Avihu. And this who here is a variation of the O pronominal suffix, which would be third masculine singular. So this is the third masculine singular pronominal suffix. It serves as the absolute to Avi, which in turn serves as the absolute to Sefer. So Sefer, this would be the idea of a written record. So I'm going to say record, and then it's in the construct form. So we'll put the of on there. So record of, and then we have Avihu. So Avi, that is going to be the construct of. So father of, and then who, him. So again, remember, him is going to be the absolute to father of. Father of is going to be the absolute to record of. Because of the fact that the last absolute here, him, is a pronoun, it is therefore definite, which in turn makes father of definite, which also in turn makes Sefer, record of, definite. And so thus we would have then the record of, the father of, him. And so that is going to be one of those things. So thus far you have seen where an absolute will be definite if it has the article, if it is a proper name, or if it is a pronoun, like our pronominal suffixes. If it is definite, then it in turn makes its construct definite, and all the way up until the first construct in the example. And so again, this is another example of that where it goes all the way up the line. So you can see we have Eved, Ahi, Hamelech. So Eved, this is going to be a noun, masculine singular. I can see that it is followed by another noun, which means as well that it as well is going to be construct. And the word Eved is the idea of servant. So servant of. Ahi, this is the construct form of ach, meaning brother. So this is going to be another noun, masculine, singular, construct. So servant of, brother of, Hamelech. And this is a noun, masculine, singular. It has the article, hey, with the pathak followed by a dagash forte. If it has the article, I know that it has to be absolute because construct nouns never take the article. So Hamelech, the king. And then because of the fact that Hamelech is definite, that makes Ahi definite, which in turn makes Eved definite as well. So thus we have the servant of, the brother of, the king. Now, at this point, let's take a look at this one as well, and then I'll take us to Judges 9:1. But notice here, we have Divrei Melech Haaretz. So Divrei, this is going to be a noun. It is masculine. Notice the Seirei Yod ending here, which if we come back to our noun endings, notice that we see that Seirei Yod here on the masculine plural construct. So I know then that Divrei is in fact going to be masculine plural construct here. And the reason for the change in, well, one moment. So masculine plural construct. You can see that this particular word comes from davar. So the word davar. But then when davar goes to the plural, so we'll go ahead and we'll put this here. So davarim. Well, where the accent had been over the beth, now with the addition of the im ending, that accent now moves, which means that what we had here, this comates can still stand because of the fact that it is pretone. Remember, comates can stand in a tone or a pretone syllable. But this one here is propretonic, and it's not going to stand there. So it will reduce all the way down to a simple vocal schwa. So that's what we're dealing with in this instance. Now, we're going to make this particular noun construct. So instead of an im ending, we're going to have a tsereyod ending, a. But this also means then that the accent that is on divrei has moved because of the fact that it is now pronounced together as a unit with its absolute. So thus the accent has moved, which means that now this comates is also propretonic. So it reduces all the way down to a simple vocal schwa. But now we have two simple vocal schwas side by side, which cannot happen. So what is going to happen then in order to resolve this is the first vocal schwa is going to lengthen to the nearest short vowel in pronunciation, which in the case of a simple vocal schwa would be a hickory, hence this particular form. So it's actually completely regular. It looks different from the form that you will see in the lexicon, but understanding how all the vowels shift due to the movement of accents, it's perfectly clear. So we have then divrei, which is going to be that noun, masculine plural construct. Now I have melek, which is going to be another noun, masculine singular. It's being modified by another noun, so I know that this is going to be construct. And then I have haaretz, which is going to be a noun, feminine singular. It has the article, so it's absolute, and it is definite. So we would see then, taking a look at this, that, just going to remove this for right now to gain a little bit of space. And, all right. So divrei, we would say expression for davar, but the tsereyod ending tells me that it's plural. It also tells me that it's construct. So expressions of melek, king, also construct. So king of, haaretz, in this context, probably land. And, but now because of the fact that haaretz is definite, that in turn makes melek definite, which in turn makes expressions definite. So you can see the way that all of this goes. If the last absolute is definite, it makes the whole, it makes all of the nouns definite as well. Now let's take a look at Judges 9:1, and then I'll turn it over.
Before you go to Judges 9:1, would you go back to that?
Sure.
Just another point to make there on haaretz. Haaretz, the translation of eretz as either land or earth, or even translating it matter, is going to be determined by the context. So just like she said here, the expressions of the king of the land. Well, if we were talking about God and king over everything, you could say the king, he would be the expressions of the king of the earth, you could say, but it may be even broader. It may be the king, the expressions of the king of the matter, that'd be the matter that he brought into existence in the very first verse of all Revelation. So okay, just to Just a little side note there.
Thank you, sir. But yes, going back to that basic meaning there. So yes. All right, so now Judges 9:1. Let me bring up this particular verse here so that you can see it in its context. So Judges 9:1. So we have then, and Abimelech, the son of Jerubbaal, went to Shechem unto his mother's brethren, and communed with them, and with all the family of the house of his mother's father, saying, and it's
That as
this
long as
last,
you can go. That,
ah,
up all the way to 400%.
I don't think it's at 400. Oh, let me see. Oh, no, I have it at 275. Let me, okay.
May have to restart Bible Works. I don't know.
Yeah, it's, there we go. There it
Yeah.
comes. All right,
Oh,
there we are.
I can almost read it.
All right. So it's this last part in particular that I'm interested in, that this excerpt is from. With all the family of the house of his mother's father. So that's what we're looking at here. So you can see Kol Mishpachath Beth Avi Imo. So Kol, this is going to be a noun. It's masculine singular, and this is the construct form of the word kol, which has the idea of entirety. Then you have mishpachath, and this is going to be a noun. It's feminine singular. It as well is construct. I can tell that because it is followed immediately by another noun, and it basically has the idea of family. And then we have Beth, which is going to be a noun, masculine, singular construct. This is the construct form of the noun Bayith, house. And then we have Avi, noun, masculine, singular construct of the word of, father. And then we have Im, which is going to be a noun, and it is feminine singular. And it is construct from the word aim, meaning mother. And then we have O, which is our pronominal suffix, third masculine singular. So thus, kol, entirety of, mishpachath, family of, Beth, house of, Avi, father of, Imo, mother of, and then the O there, him. So in this particular instance, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 construct nouns and 1 absolute at the end. And because of the fact that this particular absolute here is a pronoun, it is therefore definite, which means then that mother is going to be definite, which means that father is going to be definite, which means that house is going to be definite, which means that family is going to be definite, which means that entirety is going to be definite. So you have then, this whole phrase would be the entirety of, the family of, the house of, the father of, the mother of him. So in other words, he is visiting the family of his mother's father. And so, but it's kind of interesting, all of that expression, and it's a good example to see how one absolute affects the entirety of the construct absolute chain. Right. Anything else that we need to bring out there?
So no, wow, that would make me tired. So he's visiting his mother's, father's, family's house in entirety.
Mhm.
He's visiting the entirety of his mother's, father's, family's house. Woo. You know what? But these, it doesn't, if you get the translation, what was the translation of that again? Can you get back over to your,
Certainly. All the family of the house of his mother's father.
okay. Okay, I can see. Oh, his mother's father. Oh, yeah, those were the last three terms. So it was the father of the mother of him, and then the house of his mother's father. Okay, and now the house of the father of his mother's father, and then and with all of it, with all the house, with all the family of the house of his mother's father. Wow. So the entirety, what was that? The entirety of the family of the house of the father of the mother of him. Whew, that seems like a lot of, wait a minute. What, one, two. Oh, and yeah, but in Hebrew, how many words were there? Only 5 words there, Rebecca.
Only 5 words in the Hebrew.
But in English, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 words in English to say the same thing that the Hebrews said in 5. And I bring it up for this reason. I can remember in basic Hebrew, when I was in my first year of Hebrew with Dr. Price at Tennessee Temple, and he would show us different things at times which indicated the efficiency, the clarity and the efficiency, the I guess, what would you say? How specific the language was, and yet how and yet it was abbreviated in form, just like when we look, when we look at Psalm 19, 7 through 9, the law of the Lord is perfect, converting the soul. And we've got those 6 statements. There are only 30 words in the entirety of those 6 lines, 30 Hebrew words, five words exactly in each line. And yet it has the possibility of being understood and should be understood by design of God, each one of 216 ways. To me, that tells me that not only was this construct absolute relationship that we see an extremely efficient way of expressing things very specifically, but also when you combine that kind of thing with the parallelistic writing structure, and that people think nowadays, especially Anglicans, think in terms of poetry. Well, poetry, you can't do anything with poetry. Oh, it's all symbolic and this and that and the others. You can't believe it. That when you hear somebody say that, you just need to know that that person is ignorant and he does not know of what he speaks, and you probably would be better to stay away from his teaching than to allow him to continue. But this is one of those examples to me of, if we were going to say all of this, just out of curiosity, how many words was it in the English text? Would you flip over there again?
Sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Wow. Okay. So 10 words in English, and that's less than what it was in a descriptive literal translation. So, wow. Okay. I guess old Dr. Price is still having his effect on me. So, but the thing is not that I am adhering to what Dr. Price said. I am adhering to that which is factual, facts that were established by God. And you know what, Becca, when I think about this, and I think about the fact, as we have tried to say to so many for so many years now, that Hebrew was indeed what we call Hebrew now, was indeed the language of Adam, and the language that would have been built into Adam would have been a language of, shall we say, incomprehensibly perfect expression, perfect means of expression, because it was built into him by God, and it was not left to him to, or his descendants, to evolve a language and then an ability to write it over generations. And then, just like I was looking at more of this, actually, and this is a little aside for all of you, but I was looking again this morning or last night. It was probably sometime this morning. I don't even remember when. But I thought I'd just go back and refresh my memory regarding something that the first time I saw it that I can recall was from Henry Morris and his Genesis record, where he said, the book, the Genesis record, and he said that Christ never indicated Moses to be the author of Genesis. And I thought, wow, that is interesting. And the issue is, I went back, I looked at every occurrence of the name Moses in the entire New Testament. Well, yeah, in the entire New Testament. And looking at all of those, nothing in the New Testament says that Moses wrote Genesis. All the references, and especially those of Christ in the Gospels, they are all referring to the things that Moses either experienced and wrote, or after he received the law, and then those expansions of the law. So that would be post Exodus 20, so much of it. I mean, it says, when Christ says, he wrote of me. And nowadays, see, this is the issue, because we have understood the authorship of Genesis to be a Mosaic absolute, a matter of orthodoxy. If you don't consider Moses to have been the author, the original author of the text of Genesis, then you are something of a heretic in some way. Well, I'm a heretic according to that definition, and I will never go back to the old ideas. But the thing is this, you look at this, even when, I can't remember where it is. It's in Romans somewhere, where Paul wrote that the law existed before the law was given. The law existed before the law was given. It says, sin is not imputed where there is no law, but sin was there before, and it had been there ever since Adam all the way to Moses, and he even mentions Adam and Moses both in the same context there. There's a distinction between what had come from Adam and had developed up to the time before Moses, and then what Moses added to it. But see, we got this wrong idea of the text of Scripture, and especially those early chapters. And then we say, well, if he says Moses wrote of me, and then we say, well, we know that what Moses wrote started at Genesis, and therefore Moses wrote down about the proto-evangelium. Well, Moses didn't write the proto-evangelium. And in one place, actually, as I was looking at it, in one place, I know what it was. That, hold just a minute. Don't go away. I will. Hey, Andrew.
Yes.
You see, it does not take much for some people to get started on certain topics. And Rebecca's one of those people, so I'll blame it on her. Let's see, where is that?
Happy to help.
It's kind of interesting, where we had in Matthew 19, where he wrote of that Moses gave them a law of divorcement, that Deuteronomy 24 reference. Well, in 5 and 6, and this is in Mark as well, Jesus had just contrasted the commandment of God with the Mosaic law in referring to the relationship that a man and his woman are no more twain but one. That there's a contrast there. And then in 7:10 of Mark, it's recorded that Moses said, honor thy father and thy mother. Moses did not say, honor thy father and thy mother. Moses quoted what God had said, honor thy father and thy mother. So is Moses the original author of honor thy father and thy mother? And the answer is no. And there's so much in scripture that supports this kind of thing. But you see, we have this wrong idea, and we bought it. We took it hook, line, and sinker, as we used to say fishing. We took it hook, line, and sinker. Well, nothing was written of the scriptures until Moses came along, and he didn't start writing until about the middle of the 15th century BC. And that is a bunch of garbage. It is evolutionary garbage that has been foisted upon believers, and believers who were supposed to be in leadership, who were supposed to know, who were supposed to perceive truth, did not, in their ignorance and their selfishness, just like what Pastor Berkey was trying to say this morning, that selfishness. And we would rather be accepted of men than to be accepted of God. We'd rather conform to men than to be conformed to God. And it just, wow, Anyway, here, I'll give you all this list. See that list? I was trying to work on the computer, go from this section to that section, to this place to that. And well, anyway, so is that part of your Hebrew class still?
Absolutely.
But listen, to each one of you, one of the biggest problems we have right now that is driving so much misunderstanding is people the leadership does not know the nature of the Hebrew language. And if you cannot know the nature, then you cannot understand the significance. And if you don't know the significance, then you don't need it. So you just read English, and whatever the English means, that's what it means. Well, that's humanism. That's pure humanism. And that's what is driving church after church after church and school after school. So anyway, Rebecca, you better, don't you have to stop your video sometime soon?
I can stop it, sir.
Would you